So in update 51, the tier 5 Pre-Emptive Strike got a buff to its first strike ability to now deal double the damage, 20k instead of 10k. Now I know we keep getting buffs and I talk about power creep, but this is one that I feel shouldn't be too powerful, and it's a change that I think makes sense. Today I'm playing normal Bloonarius on a map with a lot of water because I'm gonna try to insta-kill every single tier using just sub-abilities, and for the first tier I'm gonna be using the tier 5 because now just one missile will be able to insta-kill the boss. But I'm not playing timed because I'm gonna make use of powers in this run, specifically Techbots, and you'll see why later, and I'm also gonna talk a bit about Powers Pro in this video. For the start of the game, I'm just farming to make sure I can afford the preemptive before tier 1. Now, one of the reasons I said I don't think this will be too overpowered of a buff is that getting the tier 5 for the ability is only worth it in very specific scenarios when it comes to bossing. In this case, for example, it won't be worth it, but I'm gonna do it anyway just to showcase the tower. Getting one tier 5 for 20k damage is way more expensive than just getting two tier 4s at 10k damage each, so this won't be used in most bossing scenarios. The only times I can think of where it might be useful is if there is a limit on how many subs you can get due to a restricted amount of water on the map, or a restricted number of subs that you can get in the settings for that particular boss week. So it's gonna be a pretty niche thing, I think, because getting the tier 5 is so expensive that it kills your economy much more than just getting two tier 4s, so it's not worth it to potentially save that, I don't know, maybe one extra frame that it takes to use two abilities instead of one. And in terms of chimps mode, I think you buy the tier 5 mostly for the preemptive attack anyway, since you already have the ability on tier 4, and round 100 was already pretty free anyway with a tier 5. Now, I don't play too much regular chimps, so I'm speaking way outside of my area of expertise here, so I watched Chomp Chomp's video on the buff, and to him, it allows him to do some new stuff, some new strats, so to him it seems a pretty notable change, so maybe it's stronger than I think. But I always felt that it was so weird that for this tower the ability doesn't change at all when going from tier 4 to tier 5. Well, that's not exactly true. The ability went from a 60-second cooldown down to a 45-second cooldown, so that's something, but everything else stayed the same. But now we get double damage and a lot more splash damage. And I think that makes sense. I feel like the ability should get stronger, because I feel like that's what it does for pretty much any other tower, and making it stronger I don't think will cause any extremely overpowered situation in any game mode anyway. So as for this game, the reason I'm gonna use Techbots is because since I'm trying to insta-kill every tier, I'm gonna have to use a lot of first strike abilities, like a lot. So it will take time to click the button that many times to use all of the abilities, but if I Techbot them, it's instant. So tier 1 I took out with one tier 5 ability because the boss has 20k HP on the dot. Tier 2 the boss has 75k HP, so here I got 8 tier 4 first strikes, making sure all of the abilities are off cooldown before round 59 ends, and then hooking them up to the Techbots before starting the fight. Now fast forward to tier 3. Now we start talking a lot of abilities and a lot of Techbots, so here I needed to buy some monkey money using code MacandRules. So yeah, we're talking about an absurd amount of Techbots that's gonna have to be used in this game. For this tier, we needed 35 Techbotted subs to deal 350k damage instantly. We recently got the so-called Powers Pro that allows you to upgrade them to make the powers stronger and more useful in different ways. I haven't tried them out very much other than very briefly in the early access testing that I did, and I gotta say I'm not a huge fan. So far we have two pro powers, the Banana Farmer and the Super Monkey Beacon. The Beacon I don't really care about, because there's basically two kinds of power users. Number one, people who use them to help themselves out in their games if they feel that things are getting a bit too difficult, and number two, people who only want to use them for quality of life, but don't want them to impact the game in any other way because it feels like cheating. And Ninja Kiwi, of course, tries their best to please both groups, but here I feel like they made some mistakes and didn't do much for group number 2 that only wants quality of life stuff. First of all, the farmer has 2 upgrades that fits this criteria. The first one is the first upgrade of the top path, which increases the range and makes it collect the bananas faster. This one is good, but the second one that fits the criteria is located after getting the tier 2 upgrade, which causes the farmer to drop banana peels that blows back bloons and impacts the game. So you can't get this quality of life upgrade without causing the farmer to have an impact on the game, effectively removing this upgrade from existence to group number 2, so this I feel like it should be changed. Secondly, Ninja Kiwi hasn't released everything in terms of Powers Pro yet, it's still very new so we're gonna get more of them, but I am really hoping for a Pro Techbot, one that can Techbot 3 to 5 towers at once so you don't need to take up as much space on the map to Techbots. Or another upgrade might be, instead of being able to Techbot 3 to 5 towers, you can Techbot a specific ability and then it's connected to all those towers with that specific ability. Those are definitely my biggest wishes when it comes to the Techbot Pro, and after that there are some other cool ideas too, like only trigger this ability if the ability can target a bad or a DDT that's on screen or any specific bloon of your choosing, or if you can Techbot multiple towers, maybe start ability B once ability A runs out, etc. There's a bunch of cool ideas. So that's really all my thoughts on Powers Pro at the moment. I'm sure all the casuals are fine with the current Pro powers that we got, but I hope we get some really nice ones that are strictly for quality of life as well. Now back to the game. On tier 4 you saw me with 99 subs, one of them being tier 5, so that's a total of 1 million damage, so I didn't need to use a rejuve for that tier, I just had a bit of a brain fart. But by now you should see the idea that I had going into this game. I don't need to press any ability buttons, so I just rejuve really fast and get 99 abilities used automatically every time I do. Now fast forward to the last tier. Here I actually ran into a bit of trouble with my idea, because round 120 sends out Moabs really quickly before the boss spawns, and that triggers my abilities too early. I tried Techbotting a Pirate Lord to try to hook them in before the other abilities trigger, and that kind of worked, but then I have more bloons spawning after that trigger them anyway, and then I remember that you can set a target for a bloon to enter before it triggers the ability. But if you put the target where Bloonarius spawns, he triggers the ability by being inside of that area, but it's still too early to damage him because he needs to finish his animations first, so the ability gets wasted on a different bloon. So I looked for a spot that is just outside the area that he spawns in, but that he will reach just after he starts moving. And then I hooked up all 99 Techbots and set a target for all of them got the same target, and this was very tedious. It took almost 10 minutes to do, and I was not doing that again, so I got one shot here. And it worked out pretty well. Bloonarius spawns, moves a tiny bit, triggers the abilities, and then I rejuve twice for a total of 3 million damage, which is just enough to take down the boss. So while tier 5 wasn't quite as fast as the other tiers, I still think the experiment was a success. Anyway, let me hear your thoughts on both the buff to the sub as well as Powers Pro, and I will see you in the next one.